Each year, as summer wanes and the crisp air of September sweeps through the western Adirondacks, a unique migration begins. Whitewater kayakers from across the country converge on Snow Ridge, a ski resort turned epicenter for one of North America's most thrilling spectacles, BeaverFest. Held every Labor Day weekend, this gathering celebrates the momentary joy of dam-released rivers, offering some of the finest whitewater rapids in the country. Here, amid the rolling hills and cascading waters, kayakers of all skill levels come to test their mettle, drawn by a shared passion for the wild and unpredictable forces of nature. But what is it about this place and this moment that makes BeaverFest more than just a weekend of paddling? What makes it a pilgrimage?
I think we're lost already.
The river is somewhere over there.
All right, we're gonna go that way.
You'll get it. Oh, there we go.
Pretend like we like each other. Pretend like we're married, maybe. Steve's
I'm Pete Skinner, and I grew up in Vermont, and I learned that if you want something, you got to do it yourself.
Is this bright enough, sir?
No, you're not interrupting shit. What's up?
How's it going, ball?
What's up, boys? Stoked you're here.
Dude, me too.
We are currently sitting in the headwaters of the Black River Valley. This is a huge drainage which captures all of the lake effect snow and rain that comes off of the Great Lakes as it comes into New York. What that means is we have a constant flow of water coming over a just sort of idyllic series of hills and mountains. And because of the local history, we have access to all of these waterfalls almost directly. So the ability to go in and enjoy these rivers just stacked one after the other with perfect, road to the put-in, road to the takeout is almost unmatched. The major difference between the BeaverFest and any other festival that you go to is just the amount of different sections that we paddle every time. So assuming there's no extra rain in the system, this weekend we are guaranteed to paddle the Moose, Taylorville section of the Beaver, Eagle section of the Beaver, Moser section of the Beaver, Raquette, Salmon, and Black will all have releases. They're all within an hour of here. And that's just something that is what's special about our home here. It's what we love sharing with everyone. And it's truly the best thing that we offer here. The ability to go and see so much water. And there are times where we hold this festival, and even though it is technically Moose Fest, it's technically BeaverFest, only half of the people are actually paddling the section that we came here to run because there's so much other water to go see and explore.
Amidst the festivities and the warmth of camaraderie, it is these rivers that bind us together. Each stretch offers a journey like no other, brimming with its own unique story. And now, we turn our gaze to one such journey, the Moose.
line with the stars, I'm in sync with the earth. 10 toes deep, flower child from the turf. I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad, light up ties in the hearse. I've been on a vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the middle of the time of my life. I'm never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass survive, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit it to the sky, change haters on a tirade. Talking to their grip in the face, be still, let that hate stuff fade. We all want the same, we all want a meal in the safe. I wanna live like I'm trying to reach enlightenment. Trail spill from my lips, feel bent from the bib. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense. Cause you can lose life on this fast route. Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the table. Beast with the slap, pin myself on the map. You long with the wind, but we knowing that it's cap. 5-hour flights, couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me making moves while I'm at. I'm still on the grind, limit time when I chat. I'm burning down sage, keep the demons away. When I write it, give a piece of myself to the page. I don't do it for the praise, love, that's just how I'm made.
Truth in the glass in the mirror.
Yeah.
Do it at me, old man, tryna pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see that, and he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I'll be here for the long run. I'm a slave for the cash, got snakes in the grass, no brakes on the ad, but it's all fun. We done seen it all, heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad here, I'ma curve them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough, tighten up. Everything that I came for, I left with. I don't bang sets, I just bang on the set list. Going past supper when I came for the breakfast. Put me in your prayers, I might put you on the guest list. Young to me reckless, gold in my soul, got the same on my necklace.
Yeah, so King of New York was the brainchild pretty much of Kenny Unser. He started organizing these races back in 2011. So Kenny, he orchestrated all these events, he ran it all himself for years, and it was a big load for him because this is a busy weekend. Now I'm the race organizer for the Whitewater King of New York. We don't really have sponsors, or we got a couple, but ever since the beginning of King of New York, it's had different organizers, but had a couple hard years there with the pandemic, but now it's back alive and thriving. The weekend is pretty busy. We all get up here Thursday night, and then Friday we paddle the Moose, and as of this year we're trying to do a race on the bottom Moose on Friday afternoon, and then on Saturday we load up early in the morning and drive an hour and a half north up to Colton, New York to do the Racket race, and that's probably the most challenging race of the weekend. Come back, party Saturday night, try not to party too hard because Sunday's the biggest day for the last two races actually on one section, the Eagle section of the Beaver. We do a longboat race and a short boat race on that section. And so we combine all the races at the end of the weekend. It's usually just been the 3 races, like 2 races on the Eagle and 1 on the Racket, but we're trying to maybe bring in the Moose race, and then we'll tally up the results, and overall fastest racer is crowned King and Queen of New York.
This race series is special, I think, and a lot of the folks that still race consistently think that it's the best races that you could do in a kayak. Like Jared said earlier, the Eagle is like a single track on a mountain bike, and you're just, you know, going through tiny flumes that are only 2 or 3 kayaks wide. And then the Raquette is just a classic way upstate New York. that kind of keeps the Canadians coming back down. Yeah, it's just a great weekend, and it wouldn't just suck for us, but it would suck for everybody to see this event die. And the races, I feel like, are a part of BeaverFest, and BeaverFest are a part of the King of New York races.
I've done a lot of whitewater extreme races all over the country, and I keep coming back here and just appreciating it even more because it is such a fun race. Like each race is unique in its own way, and they're so fun, and they're actually pretty inclusive too because they're not super challenging like the Green Race or the North Fork of the Payette or something like that. They're a little bit more manageable for like the weekend warrior and like the intermediate paddler who's looking to do their first race. To somebody who's never seen kayaking before, they look at that and they're like, wow, like that's wild. These people are nuts. But to us, like a kayaker who knows whitewater, and it's fun. It's really not that like death-defying, you know. We're doing things that are within our wheelhouse here, and we're having the best time of our lives doing this stuff. So we live for this event. It's something we look forward to every year. And this time of year up here in the Adirondacks, it's gorgeous weather. You get a nice sunny weekend up here in the summertime, and it's a pretty magical place.
Within an hour of the Canadian border lies the Raquette River. The Stone Valley section is steep, dropping 200 feet in the first mile. Here, waters carve their path against the grain of the bedrock, carving potholes with the water's untamed energy.
The biggest safety issue of the weekend is definitely Colton Falls on the Racket. Big hole at the bottom. A lot of people swim out of that hole. And there's a couple other rapids on the Racket that it's good to have some safety as well. Like the tubs, people swim out of there. And then Particle Accelerator, the last rapid on the Racket, is one to scrape some knuckles.
We saw Bobby Miller come down Particle Accelerator, the last like waterfall part, the slide there, upside down. He busted his elbow up.
Every racer has a throw bag. Every racer is prepared to be their own safety and safety of each other. With that being said, like everybody at the finish line is ready with a throw bag, and if anybody sees anybody struggling throughout the race, it's no problem to just stop and help out a friend.
And then there's a cauldron in the middle of the slide. That's super gnarly. So we have like 3 people set up on this rock right below the cauldron, a bunch of throw bags, and even live bait situation, like have somebody clipped so they can jump in and grab somebody out of the cauldron if need be. So that's the scariest part of the weekend, the one that we're on high alert for, especially because the race line is right next to the cauldron.
Well, And there was some swims at Colton Falls.
There was a swim at Colton Falls.
Yeah, I think there were two.
Yeah, my buddy Jaden, it was his race lap.
Oh, no.
He swam at the the cathedral is called, I call it the horseshoe, on the race line, on the river right.
Yeah, the big cauldron of death at the bottom.
Cauldron of death, yeah.
American Whitewater in its current iteration was actually founded because of the moose relicensing and protecting access to the moose. So American Whitewater used to be just an organization that oversaw a whole bunch of clubs, and they ran a magazine. They didn't do anything related to advocacy until Pete Skinner needed an official name of something to inject himself into the conversation about dam relicensing and whitewater access in New York. Since then, American Whitewater has made huge gains across the country with this relicensing process, and obviously they're super involved this time around.
American Whitewater was started back in the 50s. It was a very small organization. It was about these really unique individuals that were exploring rivers that no one would think survivable. In 1970, I drove up to New Hampshire and I met Iris and Jim Sindelot. They were putting out this journal. And I said, can I help? And they sent me piles of journals and the responsibility to work with the editor and try to keep it afloat, but I wasn't very good at it. And eventually our membership went from about 1,500 to 1,000 to 800, and the money didn't come in. And then it was 1980, and the Moose River was going to get dammed up. We had a moribund organization, hardly anybody reading the journal. I said, well, I have to do something about the moose, but we got to do something about the journal. Chris Cole, the general, came and saved us. And our membership started back up. So suddenly we kind of had a journal, but we didn't have any money. And that's when I knew I had to do something. So I wrote to Yvonne Chenard in Patagonia, and I flew out to talk to them about helping us out. I said, Yvonne, I'm Pete from New York. I wrote you. They want to dam up all our rivers, and there won't be any whitewater. And I need some help. He said, how much do you need? That's all he said. And I said, I need $10,000. He said, let's go down, I'll write you a check. And we've been friends ever since. That money and the success of the journal just launched our effort. And we were starting to get traction. And that's how AWA rose from the ashes.
For over a decade, Pete Skinner, in collaboration with American Whitewater, championed a groundbreaking effort to secure scheduled releases on two iconic rivers, the Moose and the Beaver. The culmination of their work brought about 20 scheduled releases on the Moose and 11 releases on the Beaver across 3 distinct sections, one of which is known as Taylorville.
Let's go to work, 'cause I'm tripping. Gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above the door, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Start to believe in myself and life will be sweet again, so sweet again. it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again. Oh na na, oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do. Oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do.
So the first issue is that these rivers are currently in active relicensing under the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which means every 40 years there's a review of what's working, what's not, and we try to negotiate.
The relicensing process takes about 6 years start to finish, and then we basically sit and wait after doing all of this work to see what spits out the other side of the federal process.
The other thing that's interesting specifically about rivers in the Adirondacks is that these were actually the first negotiated releases in the country. So the moose was the very first one, and the beaver was very shortly thereafter on its heels. So there's a lot of antiquated stuff in those license agreements that we're sort of trying to fight to modernize. And then the moose really set the standard for the next 40 years of licensings across the country. So we have this opportunity now to say, what are the gains that we're going to try to be pushing for on other rivers across the country in the next cycle of 40 years?
We're having conversations about how long are these sections. The Eagle is only half a mile long. No one could possibly paddle it. You know, well, Mr. Consultant, if you would go and talk to your client, you'd actually realize that we bring 300 people in there in a weekend. That's the purpose of these festivals, right? Is that backbone for when we go into these releases to make sure that we have these numbers, to be able to say, hey, these have value. We should have more of them, not less of them. All of the releases here, because of their age, they just figured that no one was going to use this resource. You know, the first 5 or so years of the moose releases, only 12 people signed in. And so it is huge for us that we have everyone signing in on these. We burst these numbers. We show that people are coming here from Washington and Oregon and Tennessee and Georgia, that there's a huge amount of interest here. And that allows us to make changes into the next 40 years and thinking forward like that. But these opportunities to bring more people in and to show the value of the resource, this gives us that leverage to even have that conversation.
When we were negotiating the releases, we knew we wanted Taylorville. We knew we wanted Mosier. We didn't know anything about Eagle other than it looked like a bunch of cliffs. So the negotiations went on month after month, and I and others would go to these meetings, and we weren't getting very far because we wanted many Mosiers. But it appeared that Mosier was a very valuable asset to the company. And every time I wanted to bring it up, the answer was no. But finally, they had spent so much time, we had spent so much time, that they came back with an offer, 1 Mosier. And I was so disappointed because we wanted 6 Mosiers, and we didn't know if Eagle was worth anything. But I went outside and we talked to Bob Glanville, at that time was our lawyer, and he said, I don't know if I can spend much more time on these negotiations. I said, I'm out of vacation. So finally we said, okay. And we went back in and we accepted. We had to take what we could get. The fall, after this license was accepted by FERC, the general, Chris Cole, He went there and said, I think it's survivable. I said, oh, I hope so, because we lost all those mosiers. And that first year, people were enthralled. And now, look at it. Look at the people that are coming down to do it. It is, nothing could make me more gratified. And we have many others on the fire at the time. We had over 400 preliminary permits for new hydroelectric plants. So it wasn't just relicensing. We were fighting this incredible tsunami of people who wanted to dam up the rivers. The first big one was on the Moose. And for us, the Moose was Mount Everest. It was for us like having somebody say, oh, we're going to chop the top off. We thought of this as our river.
10 miles upstream of Taylorville lies the Eagle section of the Beaver. In the initial agreement, 5 releases were scheduled for the Eagle section every year, a time when the rapid's true form was still a mystery.
So the decision to move to Snow Ridge sort of came out of COVID. You know, The pandemic made a lot of people think really critically about things that were working, things that weren't. And because we were on pause, we sort of had this unique opportunity to come out and maybe try something different. So we had been in a really bare bones field for a long time, no cell service, no bathrooms, no nothing. And frankly, we were just sort of outgrowing the space. People were camping on top of each other. They were getting really grumpy. So we used the pause as sort of a moment to evaluate and say, is this working? And at the same time, we had become really close friends with the family that owns Snow Ridge here. So we decided to just give it a shot. And I think it's been pretty successful. I'm excited to keep building it.
Bringing the festival to Snow Ridge, for us personally, brings many facets of our lives together, a lot of different circles of friends together. But it also means that one community that we're a part of helps another. This is a small resort owned by a family. It's the family that's here directly working on it, almost as if it was one of the dairy farms in this valley. And so us coming here every year has a huge impact on their bottom line, and their willingness to open up and let us modify the place, make improvements, and do the things that we want to do to give the best experience to everybody else is something that we would not be able to do anywhere else. So it truly has become an example of one hand washing the other.
And Snow Ridge, too, is sort of the lifeblood of the outdoors community here. We always joke that they're just aficionados of the other kind of whitewater, so we get along really well. And without this place, there wouldn't be a whole lot of access to outdoor sports in Lewis County.
Or really an outdoor community here in the same way. And so coming here gives us the ability to use what other event organizers in the facility already have. We have everything from multiple band stages, multiple different buildings with bars in them, restaurants. There is everything all the way out to a skate park here. So we're able to bring out a whole different level of opportunities to spend your off-river time. And we're also still very close to all the different sections that we get to paddle.
And the extra infrastructure, things like flush toilets, sort of bring in a different crowd. It makes it more family friendly. The ability to have campers here is huge. It just makes it more accessible in general.
Well, it was beyond my wildest dreams. The notion that we could package all of them together so that people of all kinds of different skill sets and experience could find a place in the Western Adirondacks to have a great time. But it took people like Hannah and Alex to visualize gathering them together with a place to stay and things to do to make great use of these releases.
Deep within the Adirondack Park, the Beaver River begins its journey at the Stillwater Reservoir. Here, the mosia section stands as its crown jewel, starting with an 18-foot plunge that feeds into a spectacular 100-yard-long slide known as the Spillway.
I'ma make your mind tonight, pulling your hair, baby. Yeah. I'ma make your mind tonight. I feel you breathing on you. You know that I'm a selfish lover. When it's mine, I've wanted one track mind for it, for you. I'll do it for you. Tell me what you want, tell me what you need, baby. Tell me about your dreams, tell me everything, yeah. Do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. I was never over for me. Nothing at all, I'm sorry. Nothing has changed, so yeah.
it's never over for me. My favorite Toy Story, won't be the chasing me one day.
Well, Drew doesn't know what
never
he
King of
doesn't
New
know
York.
what it means to be.
I got
King of New
really
York.
close the year 2021, the year I was in the car accident. I didn't race the Raquette because I did the times, and that was the detriment. Like Jared said, you have to win the Raquette race to win King of New York.
Yeah, to me, this is one of the only races I've ever won, probably, just because I've been coming up here so long. But it's awesome for me. Like, it's probably one of my prouder accomplishments. You know, to be crowned King of New York, it's pretty epic. If you look at the list of past kings and queens, they're legends.
So the Mosia release that only releases one day a year happens to be on this weekend, Labor Day weekend, and it's consistently on this weekend, which is what drives all of us to be up here. The Mosia has an epic spillway at the top, some great waterfalls throughout, and then Mosia Falls at the bottom is a quarter-mile rapid that is kind of unlike any of the other sections that you run throughout the weekend. If that happened to release more times throughout the course of September, it would definitely bring a lot more people out here, and it would give us, you know, an option to have the race on a different day other than Labor Day, so, you know, folks can hang out with their families.
So, and the ideal situation is to crown the King and Queen of New York on Sunday night, because Monday everybody kind of just wants to go home, Labor Day. It would be cool to do another race on the Mosia section, because Sunday we have a race on the Eagle, which is right next to it. So you could theoretically do a race on the Mosia section and then go over and do a race on the Eagle on Sunday. All we need is a little more water on the Mosia, you know, have it run a little bit later, let the Eagle run a little later. We could do a night race on the Eagle. We've always talked about that. So we've got dreams, you know, but we got to kind of stay within our limits and our budget out here, because this is just him and I. You know, we're just two normal dudes putting this thing together, and we got the help of some locals, you know, putting on this festival for us, and this is as grassroots as it gets.
There is not much else to be said of the Mosia section. Cherished by all who visit, it draws hundreds of boaters each year for its singular, eagerly awaited release.
the truly funny thing is, as successful as we've been, we've changed where the dynamic has been. Is the limiting factor the camping itself and where we're gonna safely house all these people, versus now the onus is on the dam companies. How are we gonna get all of these people on the river at the same time? And the goal has finally been realized that we have 500 people on 1 mile of river. How in the world do you make that work? And for the first time this year, we had conversations about how do we make this work, because it's getting too crazy. Literally all of you guys coming here has created the financial problem of parking. And they do not want to pay for parking. And it is cheaper for them to let the rivers run more often than to build parking lots. Mission accomplished. We're standing right now in a dewatered bypass of the Moose River. A lot of what we're doing in MooseFest, BeaverFest, the origin of most of these river festivals is to fix what's been already done. When we go into FERC licensings, we don't get to argue about what the river would have looked like before the dams. We actually have to only color within the lines of what the existing infrastructure is and the existing damage the infrastructure's already done. So this doesn't look like a riverbed. This looks like a pile of rocks, and it has the ecosystem to match. But we have to advocate anyway that there should be trout in here. There should be many, many diverse species of cold water fish in here. It shouldn't be dead. And when we come in for BeaverFest, one of the things that we do is we advocate as a side effect for the environment, because when the environment wins, we do too. So we've already gotten an agreement in this stage of the process that when we relicense, we will see 20 days a year water in this section, but that's still 1% of the time that there should be water in this section. So every time that we amass the paddling community, we fill parking lots, we fill rivers, we're not only benefiting ourselves, but we benefit the community and the environment. These festivals really come down to us advocating while having a good time. And the impacts are much broader than just vacation time and booth strokes and smiles. They actually have these ripple effects that go outward. You know, every time that someone comes in here and signs on the river, that's a data point that we get to use to advocate for the entire system. Be that the Beaver, be that the Moose, be it any river across the country. And we'll always be a mile behind in the foot race with the dams. They got here first. They were built before the sport really existed. And now we struggle to try and get our fair share of the resource back. You know, that's what we're here doing, is trying to increase that access and increase that public enjoyment of something that, you know, just exists naturally.
What does the future of BeaverFest look like? That's a tough question, because the past couple years we've been so focused on building what you saw here this year, being able to have bands, restaurants, fires, electricity, just keep people entertained. And now that we've done that, it's sort of hard to think about what's next. But what I'm really excited about, and what I hope we get in this relicense process, is that we have enough releases and leverage on all of these different sections where we can make the entire Black River watershed run free for Labor Day weekend, just so everyone can see what the Western Adirondacks would be for a whitewater heaven if not for these dams being so restrictive.
And so, as the river winds its eternal course, we are reminded of the tireless efforts of pioneers like Pete Skinner and the unwavering advocacy of American Whitewater, who secured these cherished releases for generations past. Today, visionaries like Hannah and Alex carry the torch, safeguarding the future of these waterways. Jared and Drew, through their spirited organization of the Whitewater King of New York Race Series, keep the excitement of BeaverFest alive, drawing people together and shining a spotlight on this vibrant celebration. To ensure this legacy endures, the Whitewater community must unite, signing into river releases, reaching out to local representatives and FERC, and extending this message to anglers, hikers, and all who cherish nature's gifts. By supporting local clubs and national champions like American Whitewater, we can preserve these treasures for all, weaving a shared tapestry of recreation and conservation. Perhaps one day, our efforts may see the Black River watershed run freely for this remarkable event. But for now, let us cherish what we have and join the party of friends and family that is BeaverFest.
The best part of BeaverFest is definitely Saturday night watching everyone drive in, because that's when it peaks and you just see literally everybody.
More than anything, you know, it's the people that are here, you know. It's the best people and the best whitewater and the best part of the country at the best time of the year.
Winner of all the shit today, Dominic Morel, and our first place queen of New York, Beatrice Provencher.
I had a great time today.
Yeah? What did you
Day two, we did the Racket today.
Scary as shit. So I did one lap, PFD'd. I'm like, I'm good. That's good enough for me.
Cause I got high hopes. Do you want the same? Cause baby, all I got is high hopes. Do you feel the same? Do you want me, babe? Or is it just a game? Cause I got high hopes.
She did Alpine line with me because I didn't know any other lines.
Which was really fun to do and felt really accomplished about it, so that was fun.
I'm just stoked to be here. We just rallied from the southeast.
Launched some boofs and lots of laughs. Did the seal launch. Taylorsville seal launch is like the best.
My name's Danny Mongo. I'm with NRS. I've been in the New York area my whole life. I grew up here, so these rivers are really important to me. I voted the Black today. I voted the Moose yesterday. We go to all the festivals. We just want to let kayakers know that NRS are looking out for them. We're here kayaking the same rivers. We're in the same eddies. We're drinking the same whiskey as them. It's about being part of this community.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Favorite place?
Moser Falls.
We paddled the Racket.
Yeah, the Racket's the best course.
Hold that thought.
Cause I got high hopes. Do you want the same? Cause baby, all I got is high hopes. Do you feel the same? Do you want me, babe? Or is it just a game? Cause I got high hopes.
How do you feel about being the Queen of New York?
Well, really good. I wasn't supposed to raise a racket first, and I'm really happy I did it.
First time at BeaverFest. How'd you like moose?
That was excellent. A little bit low. I didn't see any meese. What is your favorite thing about BeaverFest?
Everything.
Chaos. Awesome. Rowdiness.
BeaverFest starts off as going to test yourself against legendary whitewater. It becomes going to see all your best friends that you only get to see so often in life, because that's the way that this transient population of crazy, wonderful people works.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, okay.
Where did you get your hat?
My husband bought it. It's all about the hat.
What are we doing?
Just the what's next for BeaverFest question, I think.
Is that what we're doing? Is we're doing the next what's next? Yep. Welcome to the Blooper Reel, kids. This is Alex and Hannah.
Quebec, the Canadian group, if you will, right? Yeah.
Steve's gonna be your fun boy for sure.
I get so jaded this point of like, I'm not gonna lie.
If you want to catch us smiling, try Monday. So.
Yeah, get a shot of us like taking shots behind the bar because that's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, like
we'll get the
seriously.
shot ski out. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Anything's possible at BeaverFest.
Katie has something right now.
Oh, you want me to do that now?
Yeah, I mean, there she goes.
He is the river god.
How are you liking the creeking up northeast?
It's different.
I don't know if I'm gonna race.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Did you hear what he said? He said, let me go harass some more beaters.
We got into Crystal, and I'm following Andres, who's just off camera. And I see Andres is tussling with someone right at the last drop.
Yeah, heartburn.
We need Combs to be our number one sponsor next year.
Yeah, we're looking for a good antacid sponsor.
Oh, I have a what's next. What's next? We want to be bigger than Golly Fest. I mean.
No, we don't. I don't want that. I need sleep.
Tell us about your line on the Alpine line.
You just have to work to project right. And it's fine.
Yeah, just will yourself to the right.
That's right.
What makes it all worth it? This is maybe a corny answer, but I just love sharing my home rivers with people and watching them have fun and watching them crash so hard.
I know it's weird to hear the zone dog say this, but I like having water under my kayak.
The best part of BeaverFest is when it's over. No.